He told me not to plan anything for his birthday. "You always embarrass me," he said with that cold little laugh he used when he wanted to make me feel small. So I smiled and said, "Sure. I won't plan a thing." And technically, I didn't. But he had no idea what was coming. Not the message that arrived at midnight. Not the photo attached to it. Not the truth I discovered hours before his big day. And definitely not the moment his phone slipped from his hands. Because when he saw what I knew, his entire world began to fall apart. Stay with us. This amazing story will leave you speechless. Before we get started, hit like, share, and subscribe, and drop your location in the comments. I still remember the exact tone of his voice that afternoon, the one he used when he wanted to wrap an insult inside a joke. We were standing in the kitchen, sunlight pouring through the window, when he leaned against the counter and said, "Hey, don't plan anything for my birthday this year, okay? You always make it weird." The words hit harder than I expected, even though he said them casually, like he was asking me to pass the salt. I laughed lightly, trying to hide the sting, but inside something tightened. I'd spent the last 3 years planning thoughtful surprises for him, each one made with love. Now he was saying they embarrassed him. He didn't even look up from his phone. He just kept scrolling, thumb moving, eyes focused on something, or someone, far more interesting than me. "I mean it," he added. "Seriously. Don't plan anything." I swallowed my pride and said softly, "Sure. If that's what you want." He nodded, satisfied, like he'd finally corrected some annoying habit of mine. What he didn't know was that his words didn't just hurt. They opened a door inside me that I didn't even know existed. The kitchen felt smaller after that. The air heavier. I looked at him, studying the man I thought I knew, wondering when he had started seeing me as some kind of inconvenience. We used to laugh together. We used to plan everything as a team. I used to believe I mattered to him. But in that moment he acted like including me in his birthday celebration was a burden he didn't want to carry anymore. Something was shifting, and I could feel it tightening around us. He finally put his phone down and glanced at me, confused by my silence. "Don't get emotional," he said. "It's not a big deal." But it was. Not because of the birthday, but because his words revealed something deeper. Something about how he saw me. How he valued me. I forced a smile and nodded again, but my heart wasn't in it. A part of me felt like it was folding inward, retreating, protecting itself from a truth I wasn't ready to face. I turned away and busied myself with dishes, pretending everything was fine. But for the first time in our relationship, I felt distance where love used to be. And though I didn't plan anything for his birthday like he asked, he had no idea what I would discover before that day arrived. And he definitely wasn't ready for the midnight message that would make his whole world collapse. His comment kept replaying in my mind long after he left the kitchen. "You always embarrass me." Those 4 words hit a place in me I didn't like acknowledging. A place filled with memories I had tried to bury. Because this wasn't the first time he made me feel small. It was simply the first time I couldn't pretend it didn't hurt. When we first started dating, he adored everything about me. My planning, my surprises, my goofy excitement during special occasions. He'd tell people I was thoughtful, sweet, and full of life. Somewhere along the line, those compliments turned into criticisms. It didn't happen overnight. It was little things. Tiny digs disguised as jokes. Comments about how I overdid things. How I was too emotional. How I tried too hard. Each one chipped away at me bit by bit, like someone tapping a hammer against a wall until it cracked. And I let it happen. I told myself he was stressed. I told myself I was being sensitive. I told myself it was just his humor. But deep down I knew better. I knew I had started shrinking myself to fit into whatever version of me he preferred. And that was the part that hurt most this time. Not his words, but the way I reacted to them. The way I instantly apologized. The way my stomach dropped like I had done something wrong. It reminded me of the version of myself I thought I had grown out of. The girl who let people define her value. I promised myself years ago that I would never become that person again. Yet here I was, lowering my voice, softening my feelings, pretending I didn't care. I walked into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, realizing how much of myself I had been giving away. Birthdays, anniversaries, every special moment. I always tried to make them unforgettable. I never expected anything in return except appreciation. But now I understood something painful. He wasn't losing interest in the celebrations. He was losing interest in me. And instead of admitting that, he made me feel like the problem. Still, a part of me wanted to believe I was wrong. That maybe he was overwhelmed. That maybe he didn't mean it. I held on to that hope like a lifeline, trying to convince myself everything was fine. But something in my heart whispered otherwise. Something told me his words weren't just careless. They were a warning. And soon I would discover exactly why they hurt so much. Because he wasn't trying to avoid embarrassment. He was trying to hide something. The next morning I was getting ready for work when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something made me answer it anyway. "Hi, is this Lily?" a woman's voice asked. He sounded cheerful, almost excited. "Yes," I replied slowly. "Who's calling?" There was a short pause, too short to be innocent. "Oh. I must have dialed the wrong number," she said quickly, her tone suddenly unsure. But before she could hang up, I heard something in the background. A small laugh. A familiar laugh. His laugh. My heart skipped. "Wait," I said. "Who is that with you?" "No one," she replied, too fast, too rehearsed. "Sorry again. Wrong number." She hung up immediately. I stared at my phone, my pulse rising. Why was she with him? Why was she calling me from a number I had never seen? And more importantly, why did she sound nervous when she realized who answered? I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was overthinking. Maybe it truly was a wrong number. Maybe I just imagined the laugh. Maybe nothing was wrong at all. But deep down something felt off. The kind of off that sits in your stomach and refuses to leave. I slipped my phone into my bag and headed to work, but my mind was stuck on that call. Throughout the day I kept replaying the woman's voice. The hesitation. The quick excuse. And that laugh. My boyfriend had told me he was at work early, preparing for a big meeting. So why was he with another woman at 8 a.m.? Why did she know my name? Why did she panic when she realized I answered? By lunchtime I couldn't hold it in. I texted him casually. "Hey, everything okay? You were up early today." He replied instantly. "Yeah, work stuff. Crazy morning." Short, cold, dismissive. Not even a question back. Not even curiosity. I reread the message 5 times, feeling that familiar ache in my chest. He wasn't just distant, he was hiding something. And that call? It wasn't random. It couldn't be. Later that evening, while making dinner, my mind drifted again. His birthday was only 3 days away. The day he insisted I shouldn't plan anything. The day he wanted to be left alone. And suddenly the pieces didn't feel scattered anymore. They felt connected. Like parts of a truth I wasn't ready to face. I didn't know it then, but that strange phone call was the first crack in the wall he had built around his lies. Soon, everything behind that wall would come crashing down. 2 days after the strange phone call, something happened that made my stomach twist even tighter. It was late evening and my boyfriend was in the shower, humming to himself like nothing in the world was wrong. His phone was on the nightstand, face up, charging. Normally I never touched it. I respected his privacy, even when he didn't respect my feelings. But that night the universe made a decision for me. The screen lit up. A new message. Just a tiny preview. But enough to break the illusion I'd been clinging to. "Can't wait for tomorrow night, red heart, don't worry. She won't find out." My heart froze. The sender's name wasn't saved, just a number. But the tone, the confidence, the casual way she mentioned me like I was nothing more than an obstacle, told me everything I needed to know. I stood there silently, listening to him sing in the bathroom, realizing I didn't recognize the man behind that voice anymore. I didn't open the message. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. That one sentence felt like a punch to the chest. I took a step back, forcing myself to breathe. My heartbeat was loud in my ears, louder than the running shower. Was this what he meant when he told me not to plan anything for his birthday? Was tomorrow night already planned with her? I sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling slightly. My mind began stitching together all the disconnected moments I had brushed off. The sudden late meetings, the way he guarded his phone, the distant tone, the declining affection. The phone call from the woman. The way he flinched when I asked him simple questions. The way he made me feel guilty for wanting to celebrate him. I remembered something he once told me when we first started dating. "Trust me. I'm not like other guys." Funny how promises age like milk when someone starts lying. The shower stopped. Panic rushed through me. I jumped up, walked to the kitchen and pretended to be checking the fridge. He walked out moments later, towel around his waist, completely unaware that I had just seen a crack in his carefully crafted mask. "Everything okay?" he asked casually. I nodded. "Yeah. Just thinking." He smiled, but something about it felt rehearsed, like a smile he practiced in a mirror before using on someone else. The message preview kept echoing in my mind. "Don't worry. She won't find out." But they underestimated one thing. I already had. And his birthday, whether he liked it or not, was about to expose everything. The next day, the tension inside me felt like a stretched rubber band ready to snap. I couldn't shake the message preview from my mind. I needed answers, real answers, not the empty ones he'd been giving me for weeks. And I didn't have to wait long. That evening, something happened that made everything far clearer, and far worse. He asked me to hand him his laptop from the living room. Simple. Innocent. Harmless. But when I opened it, the screen woke instantly. No password prompt. He had forgotten to close out a window. And not just any window. A group chat. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. There were 4 names, his included. The messages were from earlier that morning. And at the top, the group title glowed like a slap across my face. B-Day Weekend Crew Party Popper. My hands tightened around the laptop. Birthday weekend? He told me he wanted nothing. Told me not to plan anything. Told me I embarrassed him. Yet here he was, planning a celebration with people I didn't even know. I scrolled up just an inch. And that was enough. Make sure she's busy Saturday. We can't have her showing up accidentally. Oh, don't worry. She thinks I don't want a party. She won't do anything. Good. The rooftop place is booked. She'd hate it anyway. A sharp ache stabbed my chest as I read the next message. And remember, no pictures posted. I don't want her seeing anything. They were talking about me like I was some annoying obligation. Like I was a problem they needed to work around. As if I were an outsider in my own relationship. My breath wavered. The room swayed slightly. But I kept reading. Then I saw her name. The same number that appeared in last night's message. She wasn't just part of the plan, she was at the center of it. "I'll wear that dress you love tomorrow night, winking face, don't be late." My heart dropped into my stomach. They weren't planning a simple party. They were planning a night together. A night he was hiding from me. Just then he called from the bedroom. "Did you find it?" I snapped the laptop shut as if it had burned me. "1 second. I forced out, trying to steady my voice. When I walked into the room, he smiled like nothing was wrong. Like he wasn't building a life behind my back. But I smiled back. Because for the first time, the truth was undeniable. And the birthday he thought he controlled was about to become the one he would never forget. Her name stood out like a flashing warning sign in the group chat. I had seen it before. Months ago, when he casually mentioned her during dinner. "She's just a friend from work," he had said, brushing off my curiosity with a light laugh. Back then I didn't think much of it. I trusted him. I believed his easy explanations, the same way I believed every reassurance he offered when he saw doubt in my eyes. But now, seeing her messages beside his birthday plans, I realized he hadn't been telling me the whole story. Not even close. The shower of winking emojis. The late-night texts. The "call me when she's asleep." They all painted a picture I couldn't ignore anymore. I walked to the balcony to get some air, my chest tight as I replayed every moment he mentioned her. How his voice softened when he talked about her. How he claimed she was going through a tough time. How he started dressing differently for work. How he suddenly cared about cologne and hair gel again. Everything I dismissed as coincidence now felt like evidence lined up neatly in a row. A breeze brushed over me, but it didn't cool the heat rising under my skin. I wasn't angry yet. I was hurt, deeply, quietly hurt, because I had given him so many chances to be honest. I asked gently. I communicated. I tried to understand. And every time he reassured me with half smiles and half truths. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old photos of us. Trips. Birthdays. Little moments that felt warm at the time but now felt staged. How many of those smiles were real? How many times was he thinking of her while holding my hand? As the thoughts spiraled, I suddenly remembered something. 3 weeks ago he had gone out with coworkers. He said it was a casual night, nothing important. He came home late, smelling like a perfume I didn't own. When I asked, he simply laughed and said, "Stop overthinking." I believed him. Always did. My throat tightened. I felt foolish. Trusting. Blind. Just then my phone buzzed with a notification. A new post from his coworker's page. A group picture from that night out. I zoomed in. There he was, standing closer to her than anyone else. Her hand on his arm. His smile tilted in the exact way he used to smile at me when we first met. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a friend. This was someone he let into spaces that belonged to me. Someone he celebrated with while he told me to stay quiet. And the worst part? His birthday was tomorrow. And she was going to be there. Wearing the dress he loved. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling while the shadows shifted across the room. He slept peacefully beside me, breathing evenly, completely unaware that everything he'd tried so hard to hide was unraveling in slow motion. But I wasn't thinking about the betrayal itself anymore. I was thinking about the pattern, how all the tiny, confusing, uncomfortable moments formed a story I had been too hopeful to confront. Like the sudden gym nights, even though he hated working out. Like the new shirts he bought for the office. Like the way he panicked when I reached for his phone even just to check the time. Like the Saturdays he claimed he needed space. Like the perfume I smelled on him, the one I recognized from a store he never visited with me. Each moment had felt isolated at the time. A coincidence. A misunderstanding. Something I chose to overlook because I believed in us. But now, as the puzzle pieces fell into place, it felt like watching a movie where the heroine slowly realizes she's been living in the wrong story all along. My chest tightened as another memory surfaced. One I had buried because it hurt too much. 2 months ago I planned a small surprise dinner for him. Nothing dramatic, nothing extravagant. Just candles, a home-cooked meal and a handwritten note. When he walked in, instead of smiling, he sighed. Actually sighed. "You didn't have to do all this," he said, like my effort was a burden. "It's too much." I remembered how I folded the note and hid it away in my drawer so he wouldn't see the tear stains. Now I understood why my gestures felt too much to him, because his heart wasn't with me anymore. He had already given the most intimate part of himself to someone else. I was filling the space he left behind with hope, while he was filling someone else's messages with winking emojis and secret plans. I sat up slowly, quietly slipping out of bed so I didn't wake him. My legs felt weak, but my mind was clearer than it had been in months. For the first time, I wasn't trying to deny what was in front of me. I wasn't making excuses. I wasn't trying to fix something he had already decided to break. I walked to the living room and stood there in the darkness, letting the truth settle into my bones. All the signs were there. All the warnings, all the clues, all the red flags I ignored out of love. They weren't coincidences. They were confessions. Silent, subtle confessions I refused to hear. But now I heard everything. And tomorrow, on his birthday, he would hear me too. The next morning I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee I couldn't bring myself to drink. My mind was swirling with everything I had discovered. Her messages, the group chat, the lies smoothly delivered without a flicker of guilt. I felt myself teetering between heartbreak and clarity. Then my phone buzzed. A message. From a number I didn't recognize. "Hi. I think we need to talk. It's about him." My breath caught. For a moment I didn't respond. My hands trembled slightly as I stared at the screen, wondering if this was another cruel twist, another mistake, another trap. But something about the tone felt different. Careful, hesitant, almost apologetic. I finally typed back. "Who is this?" A few seconds later the reply came. "I'm Nina. I work with him." Her name hit me like a cold splash of water. I remembered seeing her tagged in photos from office events. Friendly smile. Kind eyes. The opposite energy of the girl from the group chat. My pulse quickened. "What do you want to talk about?" I wrote. She responded instantly. "I don't want to get involved. But I also can't watch what's happening anymore. You deserve to know the truth." My heart sank. This was it. Confirmation. Not guesses. Not hints. Truth. We agreed to meet outside a cafe near my workplace. When I arrived, I spotted her sitting on a bench, anxiously twisting a bracelet around her wrist. She looked relieved when she saw me, but also guilty, like someone carrying a secret too heavy to keep. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. I sat beside her, hands clasped together to keep them from shaking. "Just tell me," I whispered. "I need to know." She exhaled deeply. "He's been seeing her for a while," she said. "Longer than you think. We've all noticed it at work. The way he treats her. The excuses he makes. The late nights." Her voice softened. Some of us tried to talk to him, but he always brushed it off. My throat tightened. Why tell me now? I asked. Nina looked down. Because he told her last week that he'd handle things with you before his birthday. Her eyes flicked up to mine. But he didn't. I couldn't let you walk into tomorrow blind. For a moment I couldn't speak. The world around me faded into a quiet hum. Finally I nodded slowly. Thank you, I said, tears burning behind my eyes. As I walked away, her final words echoed in my mind. You deserve better than someone who celebrates with another woman while asking you to stay out of sight. She had no idea. Tomorrow I had no intention of staying out of sight. His birthday was only hours away, and the weight of everything I had learned pressed against my chest like a heavy stone. I moved through the apartment quietly that evening, watching him laugh at his phone, watching him hide the screen whenever I walked too close. He thought he was being subtle. He thought his lies were safe. He thought I was clueless. But I wasn't the same girl he could distract with a kiss or silence with a sigh. Not anymore. By the time the clock crept toward midnight, he had already fallen asleep beside me. Peacefully. Comfortably. As if nothing in his world was wrong. As if tomorrow was just another day he could control. The glow from his phone lit the nightstand, and every few minutes the screen brightened with new notifications. He had put it on silent but not face down. Maybe that was his final mistake. 12 o'clock struck and his phone lit up again. This time the message didn't disappear quickly. It stayed on the screen, bright and sharp in the darkness. Happy early birthday, babe. Red heart. Tomorrow is our night. Can't wait to kiss you when she's gone. My entire body went still. There was the final truth. The part of the story he couldn't hide or twist or excuse. A picture followed. A mirror selfie of her in that same dress she promised she would wear. The dress he loved. Her lips pursed. Her hand resting against her collarbone. Her eyes looking into the camera like she already owned something that wasn't hers to take. My heart didn't break this time. It hardened. I stared at the photo for a long moment, feeling a strange calm wash over me. All the confusion, the doubt, the hesitation, it all fell away piece by piece. The truth was no longer a puzzle. It was a confession delivered straight to my hands. Another message popped up. She won't suspect a thing. You said she's not planning anything. Good. 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 I looked at him, sleeping soundly, unaware that everything he had kept hidden was now carved into my memory. He trusted her enough to call me she. To talk about me like I didn't matter. To celebrate his birthday with her while asking me to stay home like a quiet, obedient accessory. But the silence he wanted from me? He would never get that again. I set the phone down gently. Not angrily. Not impulsively. But with the certainty of someone who finally understood her worth. Midnight didn't just mark the beginning of his birthday. It marked the end of the version of me he thought he could play forever. He woke up before I did the next morning. Or at least he thought he did. I had been awake for hours, lying still, listening to the faint rustling beside me as he stretched, yawned, and reached for his phone like he always did. I watched him out of the corner of my eye. His expression shifted the second he saw the unread messages. The ones he must have expected to see in private, not with me lying right next to him. A tiny flicker of panic crossed his face. He tried to hide it, but I saw everything. Morning, he said, forcing a casual tone. Morning, I replied, matching the calm he didn't deserve. He sat up quickly, turning away as he unlocked his phone. His thumbs flew across the screen, deleting messages, hiding chats, cleaning up his trail like a criminal who woke up too late. I watched him in silence, each gesture confirming what I already knew. Guilt never looks graceful. It looks rushed, sloppy, frantic. What's wrong? I asked softly, even though I already knew the entire story. He jumped at my voice. Nothing. Just work stuff. Stop looking at me like that. Like what? Like I've done something. I held his gaze. Let him swim in that discomfort. He looked away first. He stood up, pacing a little, running his fingers through his hair. Listen, today is a lot. Can we just keep things simple? No drama. His voice was sharp, almost pleading. It's my birthday. I don't want problems today. Problems. I repeated. Why would there be problems? He stiffened. Silence thickened between us. He turned slowly, eyes narrowing as if trying to read whether I had discovered his secret. Did something happen? He asked. You're acting weird. I almost laughed. I was acting weird. Instead, I tilted my head. Did you get anything interesting at midnight? His eyes widened just for a second, but long enough. No, he lied immediately. Why would you ask that? I shrugged, letting him feel the weight of uncertainty. Just wondering. He swallowed hard. His birthday had barely begun and he was already unraveling. He walked past me, grabbing his jacket with shaking hands. I need to run a quick errand, he muttered. I'll be back later. Don't do anything today. Don't worry, I said, my voice steady. I won't. He didn't know the double meaning behind my words. He didn't know what I had seen. He didn't know I was already done playing quietly. As the door closed behind him, one thing became clear. He wasn't running an errand. He was running from the truth. And soon he'd run out of places to hide. That he came back 2 hours later, smelling like cologne he never wore for me anymore. His hair was styled. His shirt freshly ironed. And he walked in with the kind of nervous energy that told me he'd been rehearsing excuses the entire drive home. He tried to enter quietly, as if silence could erase the truth. As if pretending could save him. Hey, he said carefully, like stepping onto thin ice. Hey, I replied, keeping my tone steady. He set his keys on the counter and forced a smile. So, what are your plans today? I thought you didn't want me to plan anything, I answered. His jaw twitched. I meant, for you. What are you doing? It was obvious what he really meant. Where will you be so I can celebrate with her? I didn't respond right away. I watched him fidget, shifting his weight, rubbing his hands together, glancing toward his phone like it was a lifeline. Finally, he couldn't handle the silence. Did something happen? He asked, trying for innocence. You tell me, I said softly. He swallowed hard. You're acting strange. And you're acting guilty. His eyes darted up to mine, shocked, defensive, caught. I'm not guilty of anything, he snapped. If you think I am, tell me what you think I did. He wanted me to guess. He wanted to deny every piece as I brought it up. So I changed the rules. Who's Nina? I asked calmly. His face drained of color. Just a second. A flicker. But enough. She's just someone from work. Why? She reached out to me today, I said. Does that bother you? His mouth opened, closed, then twisted into a forced laugh. Why would she reach out to you? That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense, I said. When someone feels guilty for watching someone get hurt. He froze. His breathing changed. His lies cracked around the edges. Before he could speak again, I asked the next question. And the woman in the dress? The one who sent you a midnight photo? His entire face stiffened. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? I whispered. Then why did she say, can't wait to kiss you when she's gone? His eyes widened, wide enough to show pure, unfiltered panic. You saw. I didn't need to see much, I cut in. Just enough. He started pacing again, running both hands through his hair. It's not what you think, he said, voice cracking. She sent that without me asking. And you didn't stop her? I was going to, he lied. The lies were tumbling, colliding, collapsing. He could no longer build the world he wanted me to believe. And for the first time he realized it. The truth wasn't slipping through his fingers. It was already in my hands. By late afternoon he stopped pretending. His excuses dried up. His voice got sharper. He paced the living room like a trapped animal, checking the time every few minutes. I could feel the panic rolling off him like waves. He kept glancing at the door, then at me, then at his phone. He wasn't worried about me leaving. He was worried I wouldn't. Around 6 o'clock he grabbed his jacket. I have to meet some friends, he muttered, avoiding my eyes. Birthday friends? I asked lightly. He froze for half a second. It's nothing big. Just plans I made earlier. Plans he made without me. Plans he made with her. Have fun, I said, my voice calm, too calm. He looked at me again, suspicious. You're not coming anywhere, right? No, I replied. You told me not to. He nodded, relieved. Too relieved. Then he left. The door clicked shut, and the silence he left behind felt strangely empowering. I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I simply walked to the bedroom, put on the black dress he once called breathtaking, and tied my hair the way he used to love. I wasn't doing it for him. Not anymore. I was doing it because I finally remembered who I was before he made me shrink myself. 20 minutes later, I took an Uber to the rooftop lounge, the same one mentioned in the group chat. The elevator doors opened to music, laughter, and warm lights strung across the outdoor deck. People were gathered around long tables. A cake sat on a stand, and there he was, standing beside her. His hand rested on her back, fingers tracing the shimmer of her dress, the dress from the midnight selfie. She leaned into him, whispering something that made him grin in a way I hadn't seen in months. Maybe years. For a moment the world went quiet. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed everything. I stepped onto the deck and the conversations around us died instantly. A ripple of whispers followed me. His friends stared. Her eyes widened. And he turned around slowly like he was afraid of who he might see. His face drained of color when he saw me walking toward them. What are you doing here?" he stammered. I smiled. Composed. Unbothered. "You said not to plan anything," I said softly. "So I didn't." I let the silence hang. Let him feel the weight of every lie he tried to bury. Then I added, "But you didn't say I couldn't show up." His mouth opened, closed, then opened again, nothing coming out. Because the birthday he arranged in secret was no longer a secret at all. For a long moment no one moved. The music kept playing softly behind us, but everything else froze. The laughter, the conversations, even the clinking glasses. All eyes were on us. On him. On her. On me. He looked like someone whose soul had been unplugged, standing there helpless, pale, exposed under the warm rooftop lights. She shifted uncomfortably beside him, her posture stiffening, her smile dying in awkward death. He finally whispered, "Lily, we should talk." "Oh, we will," I replied calmly. "But not privately." His eyes widened. "Please don't." "Why not?" I asked. "Everyone here seems to know already." A few people looked away. Guilty. Nervous. Confirming what I already suspected. His friends weren't just bystanders. They were accomplices. They helped him hide things. They helped him lie. They helped him exclude me. And suddenly they couldn't look me in the eye. He reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to touch me right now." Her face reddened. "This is between you two," she mumbled, trying to sound innocent. I turned to her. "You're right. And yet you had no problem being part of the group chat about me, did you?" Gasps. A few whispers. He looked like he might faint. "What group chat?" he tried to say, voice shaking. I tilted my head. "The one where you said I shouldn't show up. The one where she promised to wear a dress you loved. The one where she sent you a midnight selfie." And then I reached into my purse, pulled out my phone and opened the message. The one she sent at midnight. The one he never expected me to see. The screen glowed brightly as I held it up for both of them and everyone around us to witness. Her selfie. Her dress. Her caption. "Can't wait to kiss you when she's gone, red heart." A sharp silence cut through the rooftop. Even the music felt embarrassed. Her face crumpled instantly. "You weren't supposed to show her that," she blurted. "You weren't supposed to send it," I replied. He stumbled forward, desperate. "Lily, please. It's not what it looks like." I met his eyes, steady and unshaken. "It's exactly what it looks like. And honestly, I don't even need an explanation anymore." He opened his mouth again, but his voice cracked. He looked small, pathetic even, standing between the girl he betrayed me with and the truth he could no longer outrun. The rooftop lights reflected in his eyes as he finally realized the damage was permanent. This wasn't just the end of his birthday. It was the end of us. For a moment the rooftop felt like a courtroom, every guest a silent judge, every second stretching into something cold and heavy. He stood there trembling as if waiting for me to scream, cry, or collapse the way he expected. But I didn't do any of those things. I simply breathed. Fully. Calmly. Deeply. Because the storm I had carried inside me for months had finally passed. He took a shaky step forward. "Lily, please. We can fix this. Let's just talk somewhere private." I shook my head. "You didn't make this private," I said softly. "You built your lies in public. You planned a future with her in public. You humiliated me quietly for months, while celebrating loudly without me." She crossed her arms, scoffing. "He was unhappy with you. People grow apart. Couples break up. You're being dramatic. I looked at her, not with anger but with a strange kind of pity. If he lied to me for months, I said, what makes you think he won't lie to you next? Her expression flickered. A tiny crack. Doubt creeping in. He tried again, voice breaking. Lily, don't do this. It's my birthday. I almost laughed. Exactly. And look at how you chose to spend it. I stepped forward, not toward him but toward the exit. But before I reached the door, someone touched my arm gently. I turned and saw a familiar face. Nina. She looked at me with soft, steady eyes. You don't have to walk out alone, she said. Her voice was warm. Safe. The exact opposite of everything he had made me feel. Around us, the other guests stayed silent. Not because they were supporting him but because they were ashamed of being part of something they knew was wrong. He watched helplessly as Nina and I walked past him. Lily, please, he called again, but the desperation in his tone only made his world look smaller. We reached the elevator and I turned back one last time, not because I wanted to stay but because I needed closure. Happy birthday, I said quietly. This is the last one you'll celebrate with me in your life. The elevator doors slid shut before he could respond. As we descended, the tension in my chest slowly loosened. Nina squeezed my hand gently. You're stronger than you think, she whispered. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. When the doors opened at the lobby, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't walking away empty-handed. I was walking away with myself. 3 months passed. 3 months of rediscovering myself, my voice, my boundaries. I had moved out of the apartment within a week of that rooftop scene. I found a small but cozy place with sunlight in every room, where nothing reminded me of lies, where I woke each day without waiting for disappointment. And slowly I stitched myself back together. My smile returned. My confidence came back in pieces. I even started journaling again, something I hadn't done since before he chipped away at who I was. People from his circle unfollowed him quietly. Some reached out to me privately, apologizing for staying silent. Even Nina checked in now and then, becoming an unexpected friend. Someone who reminded me the world still had good people in it. And then one evening, as I was lighting a candle in my living room, my phone buzzed with a familiar name. Him. My chest didn't tighten. My breath didn't shake. I felt nothing. His message was short. Desperate. Predictably pathetic. Can we talk? I miss you. I made a mistake. I stared at the words, wondering if he practiced them in front of a mirror the same way he practiced his lies. For a moment I debated ignoring it. But something inside me wanted closure, not for him but for me. So I agreed to meet. We chose a quiet cafe. Neutral ground. Safe. When I walked in, he looked nothing like the man I once believed in. His hair messy, his face tired, his confidence replaced with regret. He stood up quickly. Lily, he breathed as if my name hurt him. I sat down calmly. Say what you need to say. He swallowed hard. She left, he admitted. Said I wasn't emotionally stable. I'm alone. I really messed up. You didn't deserve any of it. You're right, I said. I didn't. He leaned forward desperately. We can fix this. I've changed. I swear I have. I want to try again. I let him speak, let him spill whatever rehearsed apologies he thought would pull me back. But when he finally paused, waiting for hope, I gave him a truth he never expected. I'm seeing someone, I said softly. His face collapsed. Pure shock. Who? He demanded, voice shaking. I smiled gently. Someone who treats me with honesty. Someone who chooses me without asking me to shrink. It wasn't a lie. It wasn't about revenge. It was about growth. Mine. He blinked rapidly, searching for words he'd never find. Goodbye, I said, standing. As I walked away, I felt light. Whole. Rebuilt. Because the final twist of the story wasn't that he lost me. It was that I finally found myself.